Imagine you're sitting at your kitchen table on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. You've just made a fresh pot of tea, the house is peaceful, and you're looking at that blue and white envelope that arrived in the post from Services Australia. You open it up, and there it is, a figure that doesn't quite match what you were expecting. Starting on the 20th of March 2026, the single-age pension rate is officially climbing to $1,170.80 every single fortnight. For a couple, that combined payment is moving to $1,765.20. Now that might sound like a simple cost of living adjustment, but for many of you watching today, this specific 2026 update contains a hidden trap regarding your asset thresholds that could actually see your payment decrease if you aren't prepared. If you don't understand how these new March 2026 figures interact with your superannuation and your home's value, you could be leaving thousands of dollars on the table, or worse, facing an unexpected debt. By the time we finish our chat today, you'll know exactly what's changing, how to calculate your new rate, and the 3 things you must do before the March deadline to protect your income. G'day Australia, I'm James Walker, and welcome back to Aussie Pension Guide. It is truly wonderful to have your company again. I spent many years on the other side of the desk as a pension advisor, but now I'm here just for you, as an independent guide to help you navigate the often confusing world of Centrelink and the age pension. My only goal is to make sure you get every single cent you are entitled to. Today we are breaking down the definitive 2026 pension changes. We're moving past the headlines and looking at the real numbers that will land in your bank account. I want to make sure that when those changes kick in this March, you're feeling confident, not confused. If this channel has helped you or perhaps helped your parents understand their rights better, I'd like to ask a small favor. Hit that subscribe button and tap the little bell icon next to it. We post weekly updates here because the rules at Services Australia change more often than the weather in Melbourne. And I want to make sure you never miss a beat when it's your money on the line. Now, let's look at the big picture. Why is 2026 such a pivotal year for Australian retirees? According to the latest data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics and the 2026 Intergenerational Report, the cost of essential services like electricity and healthcare in regional hubs, places like Toowoomba, Bendigo, and Newcastle, has risen by nearly 6% in the last 12 months alone. Services Australia has responded with one of the most significant indexation jumps we've seen in years. But here's what many people miss. The government isn't just giving more money out of the goodness of their hearts. These increases are a reaction to the fact that your dollar doesn't go as far at Coles or Woolworths as it did even 2 years ago. We are seeing a unique situation in 2026 where the Deeming Rate freeze, which protected many of you for years, is finally being reassessed. This means the way Centrelink calculates the income from your financial assets is changing alongside the payment rates. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, and that's why we need to walk through this carefully. Now, here's the first thing I want you to understand. The actual dollar amounts for the March 20th, 2026 indexation. Let's look at the maximum rates. For a single person, the base rate plus the pension supplement and the energy supplement now totals $1,170.80 per fortnight. That's an annual income of $30,440.80. For a couple living together, each person receives $882.60, which brings the household total to $1,765.20 every fortnight. Take Margaret, for example. Margaret is 74 and lives in Geelong. She owns her home outright and has $220,000 in her super account. Before this March update, Margaret was receiving a part pension. With these new 2026 thresholds, Margaret's payment doesn't just go up because of the indexation. She actually qualifies for a higher slice of the pension because the assets test floor has been lifted to accommodate rising property values. Most people get this wrong. They think that if their assets go up in value, their pension must go down. But every March and September, the thresholds move. If you're a homeowner, you can now have up to $312,000 in assets, excluding your home dwelling, before your pension starts to reduce. For a couple who owns their home, that limit has moved to $470,000. But here's where it gets interesting, and I want you to listen carefully to this part. While the pension rates are going up, the income test is where many of you might find a surprise. In 2026, the income-free area, that's the amount you can earn from investments or part-time work before your pension is docked, is now $212 per fortnight for singles. If you go over that, Centrelink takes 50 cents for every dollar. I've spoken to so many people in places like Ballarat and the Sunshine Coast who are terrified of taking a little bit of casual work because they think they'll lose their whole pension. But remember the work bonus. In 2026, the work bonus remains a powerful tool. It allows you to earn up to $300 per fortnight from working without it counting toward the income test at all. You can even bank this bonus up to $11,800. Let's talk about Barry from Perth. Barry is 68 and works 2 days a month at a local hardware store. He earns about $400 in that fortnight. Because of the work bonus, the first $300 is ignored completely. The remaining $100 is still below the $212 income-free area. So Barry gets his full pension plus his wages. He's essentially getting the best of both worlds. I don't want you to be afraid of staying active in the workforce if that's what you want to do. You've earned the right to top up your income. Now, I want to touch on something that often causes a lot of stress: the Commonwealth Seniors Health Card. As of 2026, the income limits to get this card have stayed at historically high levels. For a single person, you can have an income of up to $99,000 a year and still get the card. For couples, it's $158,400. Why does this matter? Because even if you don't qualify for a single cent of the age pension because your assets are too high, you might still qualify for this card. It gives you cheaper medicine through the pharmaceutical benefits scheme and potentially bigger refunds on your medical expenses through the Medicare safety net. If you haven't checked your eligibility for this lately, you are quite literally throwing money away. If you're finding this information helpful and it's clearing up some of that Centrelink fog, please drop a quick comment below. Even if you just type "thank you" or tell me which town you're watching from, maybe you're up in Darwin or down in Hobart, it really helps. It tells the YouTube algorithm that this is a safe, helpful place for Australian seniors, and it helps me reach more people who might be struggling with these forms alone. Now, let's move on to the deeming rates. For those of you with money in the bank or in shares, this is vital. For a long time, the government froze deeming rates to help retirees during the volatile years. But in 2026, those rates have been adjusted to reflect the current interest rate environment at the big banks like NAB and Commonwealth. The first $62,600 of your financial assets as a single person is deemed to earn 0.25%. Anything over that is deemed to earn 2.25%. Now, don't let the jargon confuse you. Deeming is just a set of rules Centrelink uses to guess how much income your money is making, regardless of what it actually earns in your ANZ or Westpac account. If you find a high-interest savings account paying 5%, Centrelink still only deems you to be making 2.25% on the bulk of it. That is a massive win for you. It means you can keep the extra interest without it hurting your pension. Here's exactly what I want you to do this week. I call this the 2026 Pension Protection Plan. Step 1. Check your MyGov account. Log into my.gov.au and ensure your contact details are current. I cannot tell you how many people miss out on back-paid money because Centrelink sent a letter to an old address in Adelaide when they'd already moved to the Gold Coast. Step 2. Update your asset values. If you have shares or managed funds, Centrelink usually updates these automatically, but your personal assets, things like your car, your caravan, or your boat, need to be manually updated. Remember, these are resale value, not replacement value. Your 10-year-old Toyota isn't worth what you paid for it. If you lower the value of your assets in the system, your pension payment might just go up in the next cycle. Step 3. Review your income. If you've had a term deposit mature or if you've changed your working hours at the RSL club, you must report this within 14 days. You can do this easily through the Express Plus Centrelink mobile app. It saves you from waiting on hold for 2 hours. Step 4. If you're unsure, call the Centrelink Older Australians line on 132300. But here is my secret tip. Call them at 8 a.m. sharp local time. That is when the queue is shortest. If you call at 10:30 on a Monday morning, you'll be listening to that hold music until your tea goes cold. Step 5. Speak with a financial information service officer. This is a free service provided by Services Australia. These officers don't sell products. They are there to explain the rules. Most people don't even know they exist, but they can be a godsend when you're trying to plan a big move, like downsizing your home. I know that dealing with government departments can sometimes make you feel small. It can feel like you're just a number in a giant machine. But I want you to hear me clearly on this. You are not a burden. You have worked your whole life for this country. You paid your taxes in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. You raised your families in our suburbs, you volunteered at the local footy clubs, and you built the Australia we live in today. This pension is not a handout, and it's certainly not charity. It is your right. It is a deferred payment for a lifetime of contribution. Don't ever let anyone make you feel embarrassed for claiming what is legally and rightfully yours. Now, of course, every situation is different. What I'm sharing with you today is general information based on the 2026 rates from Services Australia and the Department of Social Services. It isn't personal financial advice. For your specific circumstances, especially if you have complex trusts or overseas pensions from the UK or New Zealand, please speak with a qualified professional or a FIS officer. As we wrap up today, I want to remind you that the March 20th indexation happens automatically. You don't need to apply for the increase. If you are already on the pension, you will see that extra money land in your account in the first full pay cycle after the 20th. However, if you are currently just over the limit and not receiving a pension, this increase in thresholds might mean you finally qualify for a part pension. It is worth doing a new claim if you were rejected a year or two ago. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. And if you know someone, maybe a friend at the bowling club or a sibling who's about to retire, share this video with them. We need to look out for one another. In our next video, I'm going to be talking about the new downsizer contribution rules for 2026 and how you can put up to $300,000 into your super after selling your family home without it affecting your pension as much as you'd think. This is James Walker from Auspension Guide. You've earned this, Australia. Take good care of yourselves, keep the kettle on, and I'll see you in the next one.